One of the most common questions I receive is, what should I do with my money? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to answer the question what you should be doing with your money. Now this is interesting because I get this question all the time and people are wondering what to do with all their savings. But it depends. There are so many factors at play here. I can't give financial advice. And I can't tell somebody what they should be doing because there are so many factors. Think about this. Depending on your age, depending on how much money you have, depending on your current investments, depending on where you live around the world, depending on the restrictions in those countries, depending on so many things that you may have, may not have, or could be there in the near future, we have to determine what these things are, and then we can make investment choices. So that's what I have to say. You can't find the best thing to invest in today because it's always going to be different. There's always going to be things that are underperforming. There's always going to be things that are really underappreciated as an asset class today, and then tomorrow they might be overvalued. So we need to determine what those are today. We need to invest in them. But more importantly, we have to look at the most fundamental and basic reasons why we invest. So everybody tends to earn income, whether it's through a 9-to-5 job, whether it's through a business that they have, and so on. And they have these things to be able to pay their expenses. They've got food bills, they've got energy bills, they've got their housing and so on. All of these things need to be paid. But how you do that is going to determine how you invest and what you really look at. Now think about this. You can buy into an asset class today and that may or may not provide you with any income. A lot of people simply wait for appreciation. The vast majority of people, especially in Canada, US, UK, Australia, they buy very, very expensive homes, hoping that the equity will be there so that they can use it as a bank account, they can pull the money out and buy the things that they need. This is not an investment. You may do so, that's totally fine. However, it's not an investment. An investment needs to put money into your pocket on a regular basis. I advise people to get into investments that provide a monthly income, not a quarterly income, although that's better than nothing. Certainly a monthly income is most beneficial because you're going to be able to use that to pay your monthly expenses. Think about it, right? All right. Now, we have to look at the different asset classes out there. As I said, a lot of people are simply waiting for appreciation. As far as I'm concerned, that's not a good way because there are cycles and that asset will become very expensive at some point. It might crash at some point. It might be worth a lot less at some point. We don't really know. Those bull markets can last a long, long time. They can last decades, in fact, in some cases, but they can also be subdued for many decades. We really don't know how it's going to turn out. But if you're getting an asset that provides a monthly income along the way, imagine you have more of that passive income than you do with your expenses. You're financially free. The first person I learned this from was Robert Kiyosaki. I read several of his books and they're pretty basic, but they're good because they really teach you the fundamentals of how investing works. And that's what I really liked about it. So you can read a few, definitely. I highly recommend it. You know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, pretty simple, but it gets the job done. And, you know, I'm drawing a blank at the other ones. I've definitely read at least 4 of his books, but all definitely, you know, the similar formula and similar information throughout. So just check those out if you haven't already. I'm sure you could find a lot of his videos on YouTube if you're interested in that as well. So you need to look at this from a different perspective, and he gets into the 4 quadrants, and I also talk about it in my first book, where we're looking at all the 4 asset classes, and that is real estate, we're going to look at precious metals and commodities, we're going to look at business, the forgotten asset class, as well as paper investments. Now, all of these are going to have their cycles when they're good and when they're not good to invest and to buy into at that moment. But if you can hold on to it for long periods of time, that would provide you monthly income. in the case of real estate, which provides 4 different ways to make money. That's why it's very beneficial. And you can look at paper assets where you can invest in maybe corporate bonds. You can invest in stocks that provide dividends. That would be the time to get into this. However, I think that we're in, probably not the best opportunity to get into stocks right now, but that's just my opinion. And then there's precious metals and commodities. Now, this is the different one. The reason why I like precious metals, and I know that many other investors do, is not because of the passive income, but because of the ability to preserve wealth through inflationary periods. So if you hold on to precious metals, it's often to take that asset and pass it down from generation to generation. You're going to give it to your kids, your grandkids, and so on, and keep the wealth within the family. And precious metals do that. The cultures of the East do that consistently for thousands of years, and we need to learn from that. It's very important. But it's not going to be able to provide passive income. So that's why you shouldn't put all of your eggs into one basket. It's pretty obvious. And then there's business, which is all about passive income, and I highly recommend that everyone do something to be able to provide a monthly paycheck. Even if it's a few dollars, it's going to pay for some of those bills. I really think that people need to understand that. So that's basically the 4 asset classes, the 4 quadrants, as Robert Kiyosaki likes to talk about. And I would definitely recommend that everybody start doing what they can to get a stream of income to come in to pay those those different expenses that they have off, because of the fact that we can't always be relying on a 9-to-5 job or even a single business or a single asset. We need to have them all, but it doesn't happen all at once. You might have no, let's say just one asset class today, but maybe 3 years from now, you're going to be able to pick up a new type of asset. And then 10 years from now, you're going to be able to next type, and so on. You're going to be able to collect all those, and that is going to be so beneficial for you, as well as, those beyond you, and so on. So we need to really, really look harder into all of this. And this is really what I have to say about the, where should I put my money? Because it depends. It depends where you are in the cycles, when you're watching this video, where you are around the world. Maybe you're not allowed to invest in a particular asset. It depends. It all depends on the restrictions that are within that country. So definitely, I hope all of this has been beneficial to you. Just wanted to keep it really short, and went on too long as usual. But anyway, just wanted to cover a few points from that, the different asset classes. There will be an opportunity for different assets. You just need to address what you currently have and never put all your eggs in one basket. I really think that's so important to be able to diversify. But you don't necessarily diversify all today. It might not be for a while from now, right? You might have to just wait 10 years until that asset is undervalued. And that's the point at which you buy in. So that's another thing that I wanted to address. That's all for this video. If you found it informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, it helps to support the channel. So I do appreciate that very much. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're just about to hit the 140,000 subscriber mark. So definitely want to join all the others from around the world in the most global show you'll ever find, always covering information that is very global. So definitely check it out. Take care. See ya.